This is a video about health insurance. Get excited. You need health insurance to move to Spain. It's a boring, confusing topic, but it's a requirement if you want to live in Spain as an expat or someone on a visa. So we're going to try to break down the process. How does insurance work in Spain? How much does it cost? How do you get it? And how do you use it? These are all very exciting, amazing topics that we are going to break down in this video with someone that actually knows what they're talking about.
So today we're talking with Julian, head of insurance at Feather Insurance. He's going to answer some of our questions about Feather, as well as just basic insurance questions for your visa to move to Spain.
All right, so let's dive into how Spanish health insurance works and how you can get the coverage that you need to move to Spain. I'm Sean.
And I'm Lainey. And this is Debut Spanish.
Hey Julian, thanks for joining us today. We're excited to talk with you about health insurance in Spain. Why don't you just tell everyone who you are, kind of what it is you do, and a little bit about Feather.
Hi there. Feather started about 6 years ago. We're all about making insurance simple and easy to purchase online. And we do that in Germany, Spain, and France. Feather has been in Spain for a little bit over a year now. And in all of Europe, Feather has over 50,000 customers. As for myself, I work as the head of insurance at Feather. I'm a trained lawyer and have been an insurance broker for over 10 years.
So what is Expat Health Insurance? That's the insurance that you at Feather Insurance provide. Can you tell us a little bit about what it is, how it works, and maybe how it compares to other options in Spain, especially for people on a visa?
In really simple terms, it covers all of the legal requirements for having health insurance in Spain, and you can use it for a wide variety of different visas. I think the key difference to other insurance options is that it's really easy to purchase online. So you can do it from anywhere in the world. It just takes you maybe 2 or 3 minutes. You don't need to have a Spanish address. And then also you can cancel monthly. So we never lock you into kind of any long-term contract. And I think that's something that is really nice because it also allows you to switch to a different option if you like later on. As far as what the insurance covers, it covers doctor's treatments, hospital treatments, things like transportation if you need it. So if you're calling an ambulance, that would be covered. Medication is covered. And then you can use Expat Health Insurance with any licensed doctor or hospital in Spain, but also outside of Spain within the EU. If you're traveling, you're also temporarily covered.
Why don't we talk about cost really quickly? As of April 2024, what does the Expat Health Insurance cost for people over 65 and under 65?
So it depends a little bit on your status. So if you're under 65, it's typically 60 euros per month. But if you're registered as a student and under 35, it's 45 euros per month. So it's a little bit cheaper in that case. And then if you're over 65, it's 204 euros per month.
Yeah, when I went through your questionnaire, the price out for my age and with our visa was pretty much exactly the same price as the healthcare that we have. Mm-hmm. And we get to pay for ours all up front in one go per year. And it's like this binding contract and with all this bureaucracy issues.
Yeah, do you pay monthly with Feather?
Yeah, you pay monthly. And that just makes it a ton easier, I think, because sometimes your situation may change. You look forward to Spain, you move to Spain, maybe you don't like it after 6 months, you've paid for health insurance for a full year in advance, and then good luck trying to get your money back from the insurance company. So that I think can be a little bit difficult, whereas it would be a lot easier with Feather. It's just like your Netflix subscription. You can cancel it anytime you want and we'll just stop charging you.
It is pretty scary to write that or to like give your bank account, your checking account number, your IBAN number to that broker in Spanish and go like, oh, there goes a bunch of money, especially for your first year.
Yeah, and we didn't need a Spanish bank account to do our first payment to our broker for our health insurance, but it was really complicated to do that first payment because we had to use like a money transfer service, and it's still in euros, so it can be a bit scary to kind of pay a huge lump sum like that up front.
So yeah, how would that work with Americans, for instance, who wanted to buy this insurance while they're in the States? Can you process a US bank account? Is that a problem?
You can use a wide variety of payment methods. It depends a little bit on the country that you're purchasing from, but all sort of credit cards are always accepted. Bank accounts are accepted if they're EU bank accounts, but I think for most Americans, probably credit cards is the way to go. And then you can also use PayPal and Google Pay, Apple Pay, etc. So you can just choose whatever you like best.
I think one of the biggest differences is for us, when we got our private health insurance, we had to go through a broker. And that meant contacting a bunch of different people, waiting to hear back from their quotes. It took us about a month and a half to like really pick a healthcare insurance and like read through all the paperwork that was in Spanish and then translating that. And it was a whole big process. And not everyone wants to go through that process.
Absolutely. I think I almost skipped over that part. Obviously, everything that we do is available in English. So purchasing is in English, but the terms and conditions are also in English and Spanish. The legally binding version is actually in English as well, which for native English speakers, I think is a great benefit, because you can really be sure that you understand what you're getting.
So one of the big important things for us to communicate to other people watching this who might be choosing an insurance provider is we want to be fully transparent about what kind of coverage this is, what it covers, and then maybe what it doesn't cover. And there's a few things I think that are explicitly not covered by this that might be important to someone. So could you tell us a little bit about what's not covered by Expat Health Insurance?
Yes, absolutely. So there are a few things that aren't covered, like you say. So pre-existing conditions are generally not covered. If there is a life-threatening situation, it might still be covered, but in general, we say pre-existing conditions aren't covered. Routine checkups are also not covered. Mental health treatment isn't covered.
I went through your questionnaire on your website, which was really straightforward and easy to follow. And I did notice it said that routine gynecological visits aren't covered, which is something that I know some women would be concerned about. Is it all gynecology not covered, or is it just some of it?
No, it's generally speaking, if it's a preventative and a routine checkup, then it wouldn't be covered through the Expat Health Insurance. This is definitely something that I agree with you. It's something that possibly you would want to have covered. I think we'll have something like this available in the future as well. For the moment, we are really focusing on being flexible. We understand that even finding a doctor that is covered by your insurance can be quite challenging. That is a big difference with Expat Health Insurance. You can just go ahead and go to any hospital or doctor, and it's going to be covered. So you don't have to look up online where you would have to go. We also see, and this is just coming from user feedback that we have observed, that sometimes even in emergency cases, people are being brought to certain hospitals, and then it turns out that their insurance is not willing to cover the treatment, which we find pretty bad. So that's not going to happen to you if you have Expat Health Insurance. I think one of the things that often comes up as covered, whereas it's not covered on other insurances, is medication. So as far as we understand, typically medication isn't covered. Expat Health Insurance covers that as well.
We have a pretty common provider, Adislaus, of insurance, and when I was looking for doctors that are in our provider network in our city, it was really hard to find people that were available and even just in existence. For the size of our city, I was surprised that I only had like one dermatologist choice.
Yeah.
I was so surprised by that. And it'd be nice to be able to go to any doctor.
So this might be important to talk about how it actually works with payment, because our insurance is you have to stay in network, you get treated, and it's all good. But Expat Insurance is a little bit different because you can see anyone and you pay later. It's a reimbursement model. So maybe you can talk about that briefly, how that works, and maybe the timeline that people can expect for the reimbursement of routine care.
Absolutely, yeah. Like you said, reimbursement model, or maybe in more simple terms like pay and claims. Essentially, you pay the doctor, and then you get an invoice from the doctor, and you submit that invoice in your Feather account for reimbursement. As far as the timeline goes, it's typically about 2 or 3 weeks to get the reimbursement. If it's a really big treatment, or if you're in a hospital, then we can also pay the hospital directly, so you don't have to upfront a large amount of money. So that's always possible, which is why we recommend communicating with us as soon as possible if something comes up that is more than just a simple doctor's treatment.
And this would all be happening in English because it's an English speaking customer care, which is great, right?
Versus my story when I was trying to get a prescription and it was just, the doctor gave it to me, I had to go to the place to get it, and then they said, well, you need a stamp from the insurance office first. I had to get a stamp from the insurance office, and they said you have to bring it back to the doctor to verify the stamp, and then you can go bring it to the other doctor to get the thing. It was all in Spanish, and it was so confusing, and that was just to make sure that the cost could be covered. Versus I could have just paid up front and been reimbursed and not ran around the city for a half a day. We've
talked to some people, they just go pay and they go through all of this paperwork, and then the cost of the prescription is like 2 or 3 euros. And they're like, I don't need reimbursement. I just need the treatment. So I think the reimbursement model is interesting in that effect of you get care first and then you worry about all the bureaucracy later, which is pretty nice.
Or the lack of bureaucracy.
There it is.
Oh yeah, bureaucracy, and then obviously the language barrier. So just to repeat myself, maybe everything is available in English, and then the people that you're typically dealing with at Feather, they're also expats. So they do really understand where you're coming from and that you might need a little bit of extra help here and there. We offer video calls, so you can always talk like to a person and see them. If you like, or alternatively, just do everything through the app and not have to talk to anybody if you don't want to.
So speaking of your app, we heard that just launched, and is this the new way people submit their reimbursements? Tell us more about your app.
Yeah, totally. So you can use Feather on any device that you prefer. So computer, phone, tablet, whichever you like. You can use whatever seems easiest for you. And I promise you, there's no paperwork involved. It's fully digital.
The future is here.
So if you're, applying for your visa and you need to have proof of health insurance, and I'm signing up for Feather, so do I get that right away? You mentioned, is it like a letter in Spanish? Do I need to get it translated? What does that look like?
You get it right away. It's pretty much instantaneous, maybe 1 or 2 minutes, and then it's in your inbox / in your Feather account. We've really done the hard work. We've communicated with embassies and local authorities in Spain to make sure that the paperwork is really easy for them to use and understand. The paperwork is in Spanish and English, so you can understand it, the authorities can understand it. It's stamped and signed, which is sometimes important in Spain as well. And then it really clearly lays out all of the things that are covered. It's really easy for the person processing your paperwork to just check all of the boxes, because obviously we check all of the boxes, but it's also easy for them to find that in the paperwork.
Yeah, stamped and signed, those are the keywords there.
If we live in Spain for another 10 years, I'm going to get a neck tattoo that just says stamped and signed. Just so there's extra clarity, when you say the requirements for a visa, you mean no copays and it covers repatriation? Those are the 2 magic words that we had to cover. Am I correct in that? Or is there any other fine print that people need to be aware of?
I think there's a little bit more fine print. So we have found a large of different varieties from different authorities even. So it depends a little bit on the country that you're applying in. Is it outside of Spain? Is it inside of Spain? What we've seen as kind of the most important things is the insurance needs to be licensed in Spain. So there's a specific licensing process for insurance providers in Europe or in Spain. Obviously, Feather is licensed in Spain. It needs to be full coverage. So it needs to cover doctor's treatments and hospital treatments, emergencies, etc. You cannot have a maximum cover limit on the policy. So it needs to be full medical coverage, no co-payments or deductibles, no waiting periods typically, and then also repatriation, as you said, needs to be covered as well.
You gotta know the fine print. It's boring stuff, but it's important if you want to get that visa.
Absolutely. I mean, maybe just a little note on the boring stuff. I think that's something that we really understand at Feather, and that's also something that really drives us to make it really easy for you, because we understand, like, insurance, you don't get up in the morning and you're like, hell yeah, let me buy some insurance today. And we understand that. So we want to make it easy. We want to make it simple for you so that it's not a pain for you to do.
So if you were to describe someone that's your perfect customer, what does that person look like?
Like, who is this best for?
I think it's best for kind of your first health insurance in Spain. If you're just getting started, you can legally use the insurance for up to 5 years. We recommend using it for maybe your first 1, 2, 3 years. And then after that time, probably you're a little bit more settled. Maybe there's a local provider that works for you and you've kind of figured out the bureaucracy a little bit better. And then on top of that, maybe you're not in Spain all the time. Maybe you're also planning to travel around Europe a little bit. And then you don't need to get extra travel insurance. It would also cover you in that situation. So that's, I think, what I would recommend it for. A lot of students also use our insurance. So if you're studying in Spain, then it would also work.
Yeah, that's huge. We actually didn't realize that it covered you for certain coverage while you travel, because that is, if you're going to go to Italy for, 10 days, you're leaving Spain, so you need coverage. So that is actually an important differentiator.
Yep. And I think that also brings us to one more thing that we didn't talk about. It doesn't cover you in your home country. So the country that you lived in prior to moving to Spain, there you wouldn't be covered.
That's the same as all the other private health insurance too.
Yeah. All right. So if someone who just watched this whole thing, way to go. Insurance is exciting. If someone is interested in, it's doing the thing. We got fireworks. If someone is interested in getting health insurance with Feather, how can they get started? What's the first step that they can take?
So I think the first step is just heading over to our website, which is featherinsurance.com. And then from there, you can just navigate to Expat Health Insurance and purchase the insurance online. Or if you'd like to learn more, have some questions, schedule a video call with us, and there'll be somebody to help you get going and answer all of your questions.
Thanks so much for joining us today, Julian. We've appreciated you taking your time to explain to everyone about healthcare insurance in Spain.
Yeah, thanks for having us. I hope this was a little bit helpful.
Super helpful. I'm going to go buy a bunch of insurance right now. So the things we really like about Expat Health Insurance from Feather is that it's easy to sign up. Like, you can get your insurance right now. Everything's in English. They provide you with all the documentation in Spanish, officially stamped and sealed. You don't have to pay for a translator. Amazing. Also, the payment model is a little different. You pay monthly instead of one big bulk sum. So if you're not sure about, which health insurance plan to go for, this could be a good bridge to get you started. And then 6 months later, you can change.
It doesn't cover pre-existing conditions or routine checkups, and right now it doesn't cover gynecological visits. It might in the future, but it currently doesn't. So if those are things that are important to you, this might not be right for you, and you should maybe go with a different private healthcare insurance that's just more complicated.
But if you want to get fast, easy to use health insurance in 5 minutes, Feather is an excellent choice. So hopefully that helps you understand health insurance. It's a confusing thing. Shopping for it in Spain is hard. I think that's my biggest takeaway from this is, like, if this whole process scares you, Feather might be a really good option because it just works. It might not be the perfect coverage, but it's the coverage that will work for moving to Spain.
Yeah, I especially think that using brokers is just something totally new. And how do you know you chose a good broker? How do you know, like, their quote is a good quote, and especially if they're ripping you off or not? And then you have to talk to multiple brokers to get different insurance quotes. And it can be so difficult and hard to navigate when you haven't even gotten here yet.
Yeah.
And so Feather's a really good choice if you want to simplify that whole process.
Yeah. Like, when we renewed our visa, we had to show proof of health insurance coverage for this next year, because of course you do. And we had to, like, track down our broker and ask for the documentation. And he's like, oh, it's not ready yet. You're not. That all goes away when you work with a company that's like, here you go. And if that's what you're looking for, no complaints, 5 stars.
And in all of our experience chatting with Feather, they've been nothing but professional and awesome. So we definitely recommend that you should check them out. There's a link in our description below. You can visit their website and see if Feather is right for you.
Let us know in the comments if you have more questions. We will reach out to them and see if they can help us answer it if it's something super technical, because this is tough stuff to talk about.
Yeah.
And if you want other exciting topics, so like health insurance or taxes or something, let us know. And we'll keep doing these really exciting videos where we talk about the really fun stuff that people want to learn about.
So subscribe to our channel. We're Days We Spend. Thank you for spending your day with us.
Nailed it. She's so good at that. I love the outros.